Hey there neighbors, Kevin here with etrailer, and today we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install the MB Sturgis Sturgi-Stay POL-T with hoses. Now this is going to be a tee that's going to help you spend a lot longer of a time out on your camping trip. You're not going to have to pack everything back up into the motorhome, go out and refill those propane tanks just so that you can come back and cook your dinner or take a hot shower. This is going to allow you to easily hook up an auxiliary tank, whether it's your 20 or 30 pound tank because you're just cooking dinner for the night, or if you're going to be spending a week out at deer camp and you want to bring out that 100-pound propane tank so that you can do all your cooking needs, plus keep it nice and toasty inside with that gas burning furnace. You'll easily be able to do so with just a few basic tools. This install can be done with just a few simple tools. Now, getting your cover off of your regulator is going to vary. With ours today, all I needed was a trim panel tool so that way I could pop out the push pins that were holding that cover down. But I have seen a lot where there's screws, maybe some different bolts in there. You may have to change up that tool. Maybe you need something else just to get that cover off so you can get the regulator out of the way. But once you're past that point, all you're going to need is an adjustable crescent wrench, and you can easily undo your old POL fitting from your regulator, tie in the T, and be all ready to go. The last thing you're going to need is just a spray bottle with some soapy water so that way you can leak test all your connection points and make sure that you're nice and safe. With this being gas, if you don't feel comfortable working with that on your motorhome, you just want to make sure that you are in the best hands. Make sure that you check out our dealer locator. You can easily enter in your zip code and find a shop near you to get it professionally installed. If you are wanting to do this yourself, then stick around and I'll walk you through the process. To start off our install, we're going to need to get this cover off of our regulator because we're going to need to disconnect our regulator from our main supply right here. Now before we do anything, we do want to make sure that we have our tank closed off. So we've already got our valve closed here. We also want to go inside of our RV, and then we can just bleed the line by turning on our stove or any other kind of gas appliance. Maybe you have your furnace running. Just let that kind of take anything that's left in the line before you start to disconnect this here. That way you don't have it kind of puff out at you. I've got an adjustable crescent wrench, and we are going to be turning this the opposite way that you think. In this case, this is a left-hand thread, so you're actually going to be going in reverse. So we're going to be going right or clockwise to loosen it, and we would be turning it to the left if we wanted to tighten it up. Once we have that loose though, we can pull back our regulator, set that to the side, and then we'll grab our T. And you can see we've got our POL side right here. That's going to just slot right in just like our regulator was. And same thing, I was just doing it the normal way. You're going counterclockwise to actually tighten this up. Nice and snug. Now we can bring our regulator back over, and we're just going to retighten that back up the same exact way. And once again, I was doing it backwards, so make sure that you go counterclockwise. Alright, we got that snug. Now at this point we can actually leak test our system. What we're going to need to do is, if we still have some propane left in our ASME tank, we could actually open that back up and leak test it with some soapy water, or we can hook up to our auxiliary tank, if I can talk. I'm going to actually go with the auxiliary tank just so that we can show you this whole kit. So this is going to come with a couple other hoses here. Now this side is going to be for our tank. It's going to come with another POL fitting, which we're going to thread right into our bottle, and then a quick disconnect fitting as well on the other end that we're going to pop right into our line here. So on here, our little lever, this is also going to be open, so our valve is open anytime that our lever is facing the same way as the line here. If we want to close that valve, we'd want to kick it out. So I'm going to close the other valve. We'll pull back on this latch here, push in our fitting, let that pop back into place, give it a little tug, make sure that it's nice and snug in there, it's not going to pop out. Then we can turn the gas back on. We'll take our POL fitting, pop that into our tank, remembering that this is left-hand thread. All right, that's nice and tight. Now I'm gonna grab my soapy water and we'll turn this on. You can see hose hardened up there. Give it a good spray here, make sure we're not leaking. That side is good. And then we're gonna spray each one of our connections and just make sure there's no new bubbles forming. And it looks like we are good. So at this point, we are now ready to either supply to our main line through our RV, or we could hook up an accessory hose, which we have right here, and we can actually cook something on our little burner that we got going. Our appliance hose is going to come with a 1" 20 style fitting. Now this is the same style as those little green 1-pound gas bottles that you'd usually see or hook up to your camp stove. And the other end's going to have that quick disconnect so we can easily connect to our T. Now the important factor here is that any appliance we hook up to this is going to need a regulator, because we are now skipping in front of that regulator with our T. So this is all unregulated propane coming straight from our bottle. So you would need to make sure that that appliance has a regulator. If we look at ours right here, it's got it built into the attachment point for our hose. So we are all safe in that aspect. Let's get our hose hooked up. I'm gonna put it on here. We'll just press back on that latch, make sure it's fully popping into place. You can kind of hear it click too. We'll come back, connect to our appliance. Then we can come back over and we're going to switch our latch over so that it's in line with our fitting, and then that's going to send propane down to our griddle here. And we can turn it on. And we're all good to cook. Final step here would be to re-secure our cover for our regulator. Now our regulator is sitting a little bit further off. It's past the protective metal shield that we have here. So in this case, I would recommend having someone come in and possibly weld on another plate to help just give this a little bit more protection, making sure it's nice and safe. But in our neighbor's case today, this is their permanent site. They're not going to be moving this RV anymore. So how it is right now is totally fine. The only other thing I'd really recommend is also picking up maybe an extension. We offer a variety of different sizes. This one I have today is a 10-foot one, and this is going to come with a female and male quick disconnect fitting on it, so that way you can extend your lines out, because typically when you're at a campsite, especially a state park, your picnic table is going to be about 10 feet away, and you don't want to just have that hose sticking straight through the air. You want to be able to run that along the ground so no one accidentally runs into it and accidentally yanks the camp stove off the table while you're in the middle of cooking breakfast. One other thing to consider with your extensions is that we don't want to be adding a whole bunch of these on. We don't want multiple different connection points that could potentially leak. And with that, there are also some state and local laws that you might have to abide by on how far you can have unregulated gas lines ran. So make sure that you are checking out those rules and regulations, and you are staying safe when you're out there on your camping adventures.